Coming to a YouTube channel near you.
Well, hello, and welcome. I am Althea, and you are tuned in to Spiritual Street Talk with Althea Jacob. And I am so delighted that you are joining me this evening or whenever you are listening or watching this program. Tonight, I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the world and how we can become the best possible versions of ourselves while we're dealing with all the craziness out in the world. So for those of you who are new to the show, the format that I usually do is a little bit of free form rambling about things that are on my mind and heart. And then I've asked Spirit for some messages for the group, for anybody who's tuned in. And so whether you're tuned in live tonight, like Chris, hi, Chris, thanks for joining us. Or if you are tuning in tomorrow or next week, hey, Roger, nice to have you joining us too. I feel like you all remember that old show Romper Room. It's like, oh, and I see Chris and I see Roger. It's so fun. As people are popping up in the chat, I could say hi. But anyway, back to the messages from Spirit. So whether you are listening live or watching live right now, or whether it's tomorrow, a week from now, or a year from now, the hope is that the messages that you hear that are coming through from Spirit, through the different angel cards and oracle cards and different ways that we get messages, hopefully they will touch your heart. They'll inspire you. They'll give you some upliftment or direction. They should ring true on some level. So we'll go through those. I usually share a little passage from a book I wrote and published last year called A Portal to Potential. And then after that, what I'll do is I'll kind of open up the floor, because this is your hour as much as it is mine, right? Part of the intention of the show is Spiritual Straight Talk, is to be able to give answers and demystify and simplify topics that are out there. So if people have questions, if they have comments, if they have topics that they would like me to cover or bring up in a discussion, this is the forum to do it. As a way for me to be able to see if you have a question or a topic you want. If you're on the chat, please put it all in caps, and that will help me know that that's something that I'll need to address. And I'll circle back around and do that after I give the reading to everybody. All right, so that's kind of there. Oh, hey, Nelda. Hey, Dal. Oh, boy. Crafty's here, too. Oh, we got a whole big group. Maria. Hi, Maria. I love it. I'm getting to know certain people that keep coming back, which is wonderful on the live show. One of the things that I ask you to do, whether you're doing it live or not, Grizz and Mary, who are the backbone of our Bigfoot network, they would love and appreciate if we wind up putting the likes, the shares, the follows, all those nice social media things, subscribe, and spreading the word and spreading the love, right? So, and since I just mentioned Grizz and Mary, let's give a shout out to them, send them some good love. If it wasn't for them and the pioneering effort that they've made and all the work that they're doing to get the different hosts and make sure all the technical stuff is in place and putting all of the shows out there so that people can find it, we wouldn't have a point of being here, right? So thanks so much to them. So we want to send them our very best gratitude and love, and thank them for creating this platform that we can all come together and play on, whether it's my show, and there's at least a dozen or two other dozen hosts that are on the network that are out there in different times during the week that are also trying to deliver the content that is most of interest and near and dear to your hearts. So thanks again for joining us tonight. Okay, so what's been going on this week? Oh my goodness, the heat and humidity and the mosquitoes. I am a very passive, peaceful, loving person, but I'm telling you, I had my little fly swatter out and I was like doing my best to kill mosquitoes. I had gone to a massage during the week, a massage therapist. And at one point she's like, oh my goodness, do you have poison ivy all over your legs? And I'm like, no, I was out in the garden. I was harvesting some zucchini and tomatoes and berries and things that are ripe. And I was able to navigate the ones that were in front of me, but they basically just attacked everything from the waist down in the back. And I'm covered with mosquito bites. I'm like, oh, those little suckers. I am a pacifist, but if there was one critter I would kill, it's mosquitoes. Anyway, so hey, Lorna, hey, nice to have you joining us from the UK. Thanks for joining us. So one of the things that I noticed about this week, the heat and the humidity, it really takes effort to stay positive and to stay focused when your butt is dragging in that high heat and humidity, right? So it's really important that we as light bringers and light workers and people that are trying to become the best possible version of ourselves, people that have that spiritual nature, we have to make that effort and try to take everything in stride as much as we can and do the best we can to set a good example, right? So I was also this week, I had an episode where somebody from my past popped up and basically, I'm going to say, spewed negativity via a text to me. And it was one of those like, oh my goodness, I felt slimed by the negativity of this person. And it was just like out of the blue. And I was like, what? And I handled it as graceful as I could at the time. But then when I went to do my next meditation, I got some really interesting channeling. And I think I want to start with that tonight. Then I'll dive into the messages from Spirit for everybody, and then I'll get to the questions. All right. So hang tight for those of you that have questions that have started typing them on the chat. I will get to them, I promise. All right. So the channeling here, and the reason I'm sharing this is when I get messages from Spirit, part of the deal I have with Spirit is it's not just for me. They know I have a big mouth. They know I love to share. And when I was reading after I wrote, because the way that the channeling works for me is in some ways I feel like it's automatic writing or taking dictation from Spirit. Like I'm just writing it as fast as I hear it. So it's not like I'm crafting words, or it's not like I'm trying to consciously construct sentences and paragraphs. I'm just writing things down as fast as I can. Hey, Virgil, another UK person. Blessings. Nice to have you with us tonight. So this particular one I thought might be helpful for everybody to hear, because I think in this day and age, especially, many of us are dealing with negativity or people that are negative in our life, or people that just, for whatever reason, feel it's okay to try to, dump their stuff in our direction. So this is what this particular channeling says. Dear one, have peace in your heart. Others' choices and negativity do not need to affect you unless you choose to allow it. And I was like, oh, it's me allowing it. Okay, I have to remember that. Your light will attract many to you, some to uplift and increase your shine, others who don't want the light exposing their faults or shortcomings. Take neither personally. Praise or criticism from others have nothing to do with our calling and purpose. Just be you. Do you. Shine your light, share your love, walk your talk, and fulfill your purpose, regardless of the energy of others. You are truly your own judge. In your past and in this lifetime, your self-critical mindset drove you to learn more, to do more, to be more. Now the impetus should come from a place of love, self-love, peace, and joy in your life and all around you. So, I thought to myself after I read it, because I wrote it and then I read it, I was like, this is one of those things that it's really important for us to realize. We have to be who we are. And we, at the end of the day, we're truly the only ones that know what was our intention, what was in our mind, what was in our heart, what What were we trying to do? And how well did we do that? Right? So for other people that want to rain on our parade or tell us we should have done it differently or try to get us to, buy into whatever their particular angle is, we don't have to do that, right? As long as we are clear on who we are and what we're doing, and we are making that effort to shine our light and share our love and do good out in the world, that should be enough, right? There's nothing more that we need to be or do than whoever we are right now. We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? We're all going to have oopses. We're all going to have times where we're going to go like, dang it, I wish I had done that a little bit better. But for the most part, we're good people making a positive impact in the world. And we have to hold on to that, even if we don't necessarily see the ripples that our little pebble causes, right? Sometimes I feel like, I'm putting it out there. Is it making any difference? And then every now and again, it's like, oh yeah, it is. I can see the ripples. I can feel the love. I can feel the energy. And we're all like that, right? Whether it's with our work or whether it's with our relationships with others, as long as we're putting out that positive energy into the world, that's all anybody will ever ask of us. And we're the only person who can judge ourselves because we know what our intention was and how well we did. And if we took shortcuts or said, screw it, it's not worth it, right? We're the only ones. All right. So I wanted to share that a little bit because, every now and again, it's rare that I get like this energy of negativity that pops up into my life. I have pretty good filters and people know, like, don't waste my time with that. I'm not going to engage. You're not going to get me to bite, right? They might dangle the hook and say, okay, can I trick her into, getting into that one? But, at 63, I'm kind of at a point in my life where I'm like, I don't take the bait that easily. I really am very conscious about choosing the battles. I'm much more about having peace in my life and being happy versus right, because right and wrong is subjective for most people anyway. And if somebody has it locked in that they have to have it a certain way, I'm not changing their mind, So it's like, live and let live, right? All right. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that. So thanks for all that. All righty. Now, first card from Spirit for tonight is the Angel card of Commitment. And it says, Angel Wisdom reminds us that when we aim for a vision without doubt or deviation, it must succeed. Our guidance is to persevere towards our vision. Let every thought, every word, and every action be directed towards our desired outcome. Nothing is more powerful than focused energy, and your angels will see the pure light of your commitment, whether it is to a relationship, a place of work, a journey, or anything else in your life that you choose. Remember to ask your angels for help, and know when you dedicate your intentions to the highest good possible, your angels will always support you. I love this card, right? Commitment is something that's really important. And it's really hard sometimes to get that buy-in from people around you, right? So be committed to your own journey. Be committed to the things that you want to manifest in your life. Be committed to becoming the best possible version of you, of what's my little mantra? Shining your light, sharing your love, being kind and doing good in the world, having that positive impact on the lives of others. So now the next angel card, I want to say this is probably partly because of what happened to me this week. But again, I'm sure this is happening to a lot of us out there. Opportunity to forgive, right? So this angel card says, the situation brings you the opportunity to heal, to grow, and to release negative energy patterns. Hold the intention of seeing the other person's inner divine light and goodness. Your angels will help you release any unforgiving thoughts, feelings, or energies and lift you to a higher place of peace and compassion. So forgiveness is very important to disconnect any negative energy that might remain from people that were once in your life and very important for that, and how they now are not in your life for whatever reason, whether they're exes or people that you've just moved on. And so this is this opportunity to forgive. Holding resentment or negativity doesn't affect the other person. It only affects us, right? And they don't know whether we're loving them, hating them, forgiving them, holding grudges against them. They're doing their life, right? So we need to have that sense of freedom and peace and not hold on to the negativity. So by forgiving, it allows us to let go and not have any of that energy kind of sliming our aura or hanging out in our space. Okay. So whenever negative stuff pops up, look at it as an opportunity for you to practice forgiveness, unconditional love, and learning how to let go the stuff that's really not yours anyway. And there's no reason that it should continue to affect you. The third card I chose is Spiritual Teacher. And this is reminding us that our inner voices are becoming stronger and stronger. And it's really important to pay attention to them. Our true spiritual teachers are the invisible realms, right? Study and learn from the physical teachers that are out there. You know, it's always great to learn from somebody who's walked that path already or has the skills or the experiences that you're trying to develop within yourself. And those non-physical teachers, those benevolent interdimensional beings, whether they're angels, aliens, loved ones and spirits, guides, whatever beings out there that are positive, that want to help you, allow them, invite them, ask for their help. Okay, so then I chose 3 tarot cards for today, and I usually do the past, present, future. And so past, Queen of Rods, this is talking about how most of us are pretty good with listening to our intuition, right? It's made sure that in the past, when we paid attention to our intuition, we were in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, and there was this wonderful flow and balance that would happen. When the next card is what's happening now, this is a really powerful card. This is the 7 of Rods, and you can almost tell from the card, it has this feeling of protection, right? Protecting our intuition, protecting and honoring the truths that we hold dear, the things that we know in our mind, in our heart, in our gut, and the coherence of those 3. That is so precious, and we need to guard that and guide that and not let stuff in the world or other people pull us away from what we know to be truth. The last card, which is indicating the future, is the Knight of Rods. And knights represent partners that show up in our life. And it can be romantic partners, and it can be family members, it can be friends, it can be partners in projects or work. What's important here is it's saying if we do the due diligence of protecting our intuition, and we're following that intuition so that we're always in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people for us to help them or for them to help us help others, the new people that come into our life, our knights will also, our partners will also have beautiful intuitions. And they're in the right place at the right time. So we can feel the synergy happen and know that, oh, we were meant to connect at this time. You know, it's not like 2 weak people finding each other, 2 people drowning and trying to well, can we save each other? I don't know. It's like, no, it's like 2 strong people coming together and saying, what amazing thing can we do together? So it's a very different kind of model. So those are the messages that came from Spirit for us to kind of ponder and think about this week. And I also wanted to read a little bit from a book, as I usually do. And it's called A Portal to Potential. And this was all channeled, and it's meant to encourage and empower the reader to think about what's important in your life, to understand the purpose of your soul, certain questions or thoughts that make sense to ponder to help each of us become the best version of ourselves that's possible. So I find it's uplifting. Some of it's funny. Some of it is just my own quirkiness, but it's come through spirit. And I think it can be something that's it's an easy read. You can do it as a fortune cookie like I do sometimes. I'm like, okay, what do I need to know today? And I crack it open. And today, the reminder came that just very simply, there is nothing more than you need to be than what you already are. The only thing you need to do is be all you are with love. Make your days and weeks be filled with purpose, full of joyful fun and meaningful work. Ever move in the best possible direction for you, using, amplifying, and adding to the gifts, blessings, and opportunities in your life. Be in the service of the light during all you encounter along your journey. So I found it was a good reminder of things that are important to do. All right, so those are the messages that I wanted to share. I see there's been some busyness on the chat here, so let me go back and take a quick peek. Please remember, if you do have questions, please put them in caps because it makes it a little easier for me to scan and find them. And thank you for all of you that have put some kind words out there and sending blessings and all kinds of things like that. Okay. So I have Maria is asking here. Let's see. She's saying, what planet am I from? And what should I know about my past life there? Okay, so now I can't just jump right into that, Chris. So let me back it up a little bit. So when we talk about past lives or planets, so we can think of ourselves a lot of different ways, right? So we can be sons and daughters of God. We can be expressions of different aspects of one source that has differentiated into the individuations that we are in order to have the various experiences in our life. And so some schools of thought say, okay, the whole universe is God's playground. And our souls, our spirits kind of are like a tapestry. And one thread comes down to a single planet at a single time and has an experience that's sort of something that was already in our minds of what we wanted to learn or experience. And then when we have that lifetime here or whatever, wherever we go on that thread, we coming down. When we go back to our tapestry, we bring the richness of what we've learned and we add it back to the tapestry of our soul. And so some people will believe that there are threads that don't just come to planet Earth, that in this universe, there are, many worlds, many mansions, that heavens have infinite number of places to explore through the eternity that our soul is existing. And so we are, some of us can look back and say, oh, I believe I was on this planet at one time, or this star system. I was from the Sirius system or the Pleiades or from Arcturus, or there's different groupings in the sky that lead back to different planets that supposedly have a very high spiritual dimension. And so that's where that comes from. So my sense for you, Chris, is the Pleiades is what popped in first. And the Pleiades are, from what I understand, those are where the really beautiful blue avatar-like beings of spirit or aliens, interdimensional beings come from. And so you might find yourself with an affinity. Like if you were watching that movie Avatar, you might be like, oh, I just love those beings, right? So a lot of people that have that heritage or that old DNA in them from the Pleiades feel very drawn to that. So that's the first thing that popped into my mind. Okay, Let me go back. There's a bunch of questions tonight. Hooray. Thank you all for being so interactive. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so let me see. Next question. Oh, so Virgil was sharing that dumping your stuff means something different in England. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Well, I do remember when I was in London on a business trip and somebody said that they were going to bang me in the morning. I was like, excuse me? And that was just like the knock on my door to wake me up. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So there's very big differences in the English language, even though it's both English. So I do apologize, Virgil, if I offended by my dumping comment. So hopefully not. But thanks for pointing that out. I'll try to be a little bit more careful and not use as many idiomatic phrases as I go forward, since we have a nice international audience here, which I love. Okay, so let's see now. All right. All right, so Nilda is asking, what guidance messages do my angels have for me? Okay, so let me just tune in for a second here, Nilda. Oh, and so let me just kind of back it up for those of you that are not Nilda listening in at this moment. Whenever there's a specific question that's asked, the way that Spirit helps to answer it, there's probably something in the answer that's going to resonate with you on some level, right? So you don't have to, when you're listening, say, oh, she's talking to somebody else, or she's answering a question for somebody else, and say, I'll just tune out for now. It doesn't apply to me. Don't be so sure, because very often it's kind of like in class. If you remember, like somebody will ask a question and the teacher will answer that. And like, there's at least 3 or 4 other students that are like, oh yeah, I was thinking of something just like that, or that makes sense to me too. It's that kind of a model. Usually the questions that pop up have something to do with more than just the person that's asking them. So just wanted to kind of clear that right at the top here. All right, so back to you, Nilda. And so messages. So what guidance messages do angels have for us? So I'm going to broaden it out. I'm going to ask specifically for you, Nilda, but I'm going to broaden it out of what's important to be known right now. And what I'm feeling for you is, and for us all, it's really important to work on maintaining our positivity in spite of the negativity that is flagrant around us, and really be careful not to get pulled into the gossip, drama, or trauma of family members and friends. It's pretty easy not to get pulled in at work because it's very obvious. It's like, yeah. I'm just doing my job, right? It's easier to keep your head down, but it tends to be a little bit more difficult when it's your best friend or your sister or your brother who is sharing all of this information and trying to engage you and poke you and see what you think about it. And they're like, okay, so if we're not dumping on, what's another word? Virgil, tell me in the chat, what's a better phrase to use than dumping on? So I can, it's such a prolific phrase here, of overly sharing and inappropriately putting that energy on us. So one of the things to do here, so the guidance here is really learn how to hold your peace, hold your space, hold your tongue. Do not allow your energy to get sucked into the debates, the fights, the disagreements, the negativity, the bashing, the gossip. Anything that is not of a high vibration right now, we need to do our best to put up that little energetic barrier and say, you know what? It's not anything I really want to get myself involved in. It doesn't serve a positive purpose. I'm not changing anybody's mind. I'm not able to change the situation. So I refuse to wallow in the negativity. I'm just not going to do it. And so that's the first thing that popped into my mind for you there, Nilda. Okay, Dal is asking, what would Spirit like me to know regarding my legal case? Any update? Okay. So in general, right now, legal things Mercury is in retrograde. Okay. And we talked a little bit about this, I think, in one of the more recent episodes. Mercury is the planet that rules communication. And when it is in retrograde, it means that its normal positive qualities are kind of in reverse or stalled out. So when it's in retrograde, it's not a good time to have to launch a book, or to there's a likelihood to have miscommunications with different people. So right now, you're probably thinking, any updates about the legal case? I wouldn't expect anything really definitive happening, at least for a couple of weeks, until Mercury's back direct. And legal cases right now in general, it feels like up is down and right is left, and black is white, and dark is night, and dark is light. It's like things are so bizarre in the world when it comes to even legal things, and people are like just making up their own stuff right and left, and there's so much confusion. It's almost good that things are taking a little longer, because the knee-jerk reaction is one that you probably wouldn't have liked if it was faster. So in this case, I'm feeling the fact that it's taking a little bit more time to get updates or answers is an indication that there's more thought and due diligence going into it, which is more positive for you and your outcome. Okay, so that's what I'm feeling on that. I hope that makes sense there, Del. Okay, then we have, okay, so Maria wants to know about love, I guess. Here, look at you. Maria's asking, can you describe my future partner? Okay, guys, we've talked about this before, but I think it's worth repeating. Oh, hey, Susan. Yep, I see you just joined us. Yes, you can ask a question. Oh, I see one down below. I'll get to in a minute. So Maria's asking, can you describe my future partner? So what I can do here is I can tell you energetically right now, Maria, what you're attracting to you based on your energy field. But I'm not a fortune teller. I don't predict the future. I teasingly have said this before. If I was that good at predicting the future, I would have predicted the lotto numbers, and I'd be sitting on probably some beach in Fiji having a really cute guy serve me umbrella drinks by the pool, right? I wouldn't be here. I still love what I do. Don't mind me here. I wouldn't want to just leave you all. I'd just be doing my podcast from that beach in Fiji somewhere instead of from my house here in Wisconsin in the middle of a heat wave. Yeah. So I don't like to try to even predict, what, who you're going to marry, or who, that type of thing. What I can tell you is energetically what you're sending out, the vibes you're sending out into the universe, what the universe is going to mirror back to you as far as a partner. And the other thing, a lot of our partners and our future really depends on our free will and our free choice. You might be somebody that's drawn to the bad boys, and I could tell you, 100 reasons why you don't want to go for the bad boy. And you're like, yeah, I just like that bad boy vibe, and I'm going to go, party hardy until the cows come home. And I'm like, that's your free will and free choice. Or you might be, I'm waiting for, this perfect version of this very spiritual yet worldly man to come into my life. And you have this checklist of 8,000 things. And unless they get all those 8,000 things, you don't even, go out for a drink with them or invite them to go, whatever, right? Whatever you like to do. So the short answer is I can describe the energy that you're putting out right now, but whether or not or how fast that person manifests in your life also should be a function of what are you trying to manifest. I could describe tall, dark, and handsome. He has, a medical background. He comes from a decent parentage. He's not rich, but he's well to do enough to take care of himself and others. He loves He loves animals. He loves athletics and sports. He loves to travel. He's well versed in poetry and arts. And most importantly, he loves you and cherishes you and supports you in all that you do. Okay. Does that sound like a good list? Okay, that's the energy you're putting out for. So now you have to keep putting out for something like that will be able to manifest in your world, right? So, and if I rattled off all that energy and you're like, those 3 things are not on my wish list, or now I really don't want that, cool. Strike the list, put out what you want. You put out into the universe, this is what I want in my future partner, in my future mate. This is what I want, future partner for my business, future partner for my life. And so we all have the opportunity to hold that vision, right? Too often we go back into old patterns, right, that are familiar. I am probably one of the most guilty ones on the bunch here, right, that have done this. I was a chronic saver of wounded puppies. Okay. No offense to any past boyfriend or husband. They came into my life from where they were a little weak in their life, and I helped them get stronger. I helped them together. We did stuff. We helped each other, but they were in a much better place after being in a relationship with me than they were before. And I felt good about that. I like making my friends and the people I love and care about happy. I like to help them. I like to posture them and set them up for success and support them in any way I can. And that's okay to a certain point, but I did it to my own detriment. And a lot of us do that, right? We're these chronic helpers. We are happy by making other people happy, but we sometimes forget to make ourselves happy in the process. So it's really important to have our boundaries and be very clear about, you know what, been there, done that. The next one that comes into my life, I don't want any more wounded puppies. You know, I love animals. I will play with puppies and doggies till the cows come home. I love it, love it, love it. I'm not rescuing another one. Not doing it. I want the next person in my life to be as strong and together and resilient and loving and lovable as I am. And that's what I would wish for everybody. And the details of what that looks like with all of the rest of the characteristics, that's really up to us as individuals to put out into the universe. What do I want to manifest? What do I want to attract? And understand that there's this way that we carry ourselves as well, that we kind of say to the universe, this is who I am. And they mirror back to us how we are saying we want to be treated. So if you've been in a lot of relationships like I was, where I wasn't feeling particularly cherished or supported, or like I was the most important thing in their life, even though they were the most important thing or person in mine, now I'm saying I'm not willing to take that anymore. I think, I've healed and worked on myself enough that, you know what? No, next one, I would rather either be by myself or have that next better version that I want versus going back and repeating old habits, right? And I know sometimes it's hard, right? We get lonely. We're like, oh, I just want this person in my life, and we'll settle for what shows up. No settling. You are worth more than settling. We all are, right? We are bright lights. And if we don't find a partner who is willing and able to help reflect that shine out into the world and support us so we can shine even more, then we got to step back and say, what am I doing? Why am I accepting this? I know better, right? We know better, so we need to do better. Okay. So I hope that helped, Maria. I know that was a really long lecture based on a simple question, but hopefully that gave you something to think about. Okay. Next question. Susan is asking, do I see any spirits around you, and do they have any messages for me? Okay. Yep. Well, first of all, Susan, and for anybody who's tuned in, we all have spirits around us all the time. All the time. we are never alone. We are not. We have our guardian angels. We have our loved ones in spirit. And sometimes we have even more depending on our work, what we've been asking to manifest, and what we invite into our life and are around us. So yeah, so there's definitely quite a few. I do feel a very specific one for you here, Susan. I feel a grandmother energy that's with you, with a tremendous sense of pride and feeling really glad at the woman that you've become and how you have resisted the temptation to take the bait and go after, go down a road that would hurt your soul, hurt your heart. And she is so glad that you have protected your heart and have worked really diligently at creating a space of peace and goodness around you. And she's also very thankful that you maintain some positive traditions. Let me take a little diversion here. I hope that makes sense, Susan. One of the things that has struck me a lot about grandmothers, I want to bring up here. Parents, a lot of times, especially mothers with daughters, we can kind of be like two cats trying to share the same spot on the couch, right? There can be a little bit of a ruffling of feathers or fur, I guess, in this case. And yeah, eventually, a lot of times, mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, you become best friends. But there's oftentimes a period in our lives, energetically, as we're coming into our own, that we rebel a little bit, or we reject them a little bit, or we don't appreciate or show them as much gratitude. And then later on in life, we circle back around and we're like, oh, what was I thinking? I'm so sorry. Now I know better. And there's something about grandparents that is almost the opposite. From the get-go, they are typically examples of unconditional love. They are the ones that support us. They spoil us. They, if you're lucky enough to have known your grandparents, and I was very blessed to know mine, they were people that were always interested in what are you doing? They would share their stories, but they would take the time to want to know, tell me about yourself. And I remember when I studied at one point and became a massage therapist, and I remember my grandmother, who was, I think, 80 at the time, was one of the guinea pigs on my massage table before my own mother. She was like, oh, you got your massage license? Sure, honey, let's give it a whirl. Let's see what you got. She was always so encouraging. And so one of the things that I find very a usual message, or a very commonplace, not commonplace, but a common theme of messages that I get from grandmothers in particular, is this sense of great pride of what we have done with our life. And they're like, wow, you did really great. Boy, you overcame all those challenges. Boy, you really did well. It's kind of like they give you that pat on the back from spirit, because they knew you when, right? They knew you when you were an infant. They were there, most likely, when their daughter was having you. So grandparents, if you still are lucky enough to have your grandparents around and your parents around, do your best to, exchange that sense of love and gratitude with them. But also, if they're all already in spirit, I bet you, if you just kind of expand your consciousness out just a little bit and expand your heart out just a little bit, you will feel this rush of love and pride and feelings of, wow, you know what? You've done a great job, honey, in getting through all the craziness and being this person that has light and positivity and the desire to do good in the world and the commitment to become the best possible version of you can be. Right? They are, your grandparents in spirit are your biggest cheerleaders in spirit, just like they probably were your biggest cheerleaders in life. Okay, hope that makes sense too. Okay, we have next. Time. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure, Crafty, on what a DIL is. What is a DIL? My DIL is very daughter-in-law. Oh, got it. Thank you. Spirit just told me. My daughter-in-law is very disrespectful towards me. My son doesn't interfere, and I have a hard time forgiving and forgetting. It's a constant, at least once every time we're together. And generally I won't engage. Help. Okay. So in-laws can be challenging in both directions, right? Mothers-in-laws, daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws, father-in-laws, they absolutely can be, because part of the challenge is we perceive each other, or they perceive each other as competition for the person in common. So your son married your daughter-in-law, and so your daughter-in-law looks at you as competition and a bigger influence on your son than she may be. And so that's where there's this little natural setup, and that caused the whole stereotype of the in-laws, right? Is that you had your relationship with your son, and, whether he was a mama's boy, whether he was, not, doesn't matter. Now your daughter-in-law comes into the picture. She wants to develop a relationship with him without feeling that you have undue control over that. So if you can get to a point, and your son, and it's good that he doesn't want to interfere. He's a smart and wise man who doesn't want to come between the two women in his life, right? So you got to cut him a little slack on this. And think about what you can do to make it easy or easier for your daughter-in-law, so she does not perceive that you are trying to unduly influence or compete with her for influence over your son. In a lot of ways, as a parent, when your children get married, it's very important that you pull your energy back in order to give them formative time to shape what their relationship is going to be and create their life, and also create the space for you that is most comfortable for them in their life. So it's really important to be aware of the power and role that you have, and you need to show grace and love as much as you can for your son by showing grace and giving space to the two of them and your daughter-in-law. In a lot of ways, it's the old, don't offer your opinion unless you're asked, right? If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Remember those we talk about grandparents, those adages grandma used to say? Those definitely apply in these kind of relationships. So you can clear the air if you want, but I would do it in a very loving way. I would invite your daughter-in-law out to go get mani-pedis, or go out to lunch, or a cup of tea, or whatnot. Do something, that she enjoys. I don't know, come over for a glass of wine, and have a heart to heart and say, look, I get the feeling that, we got off to a rough start. I'm not your competition. We both love this man in common, and I will do my best. I was his mother for as long as he's been alive, and I'm used to taking care of him and giving him my advice and being involved in his life. And I understand that that might be a little overwhelming to you as his wife. And so I'm going to try to pull myself back to give you the space. And all I ask is that, remember, I still love him. I love you. I love our family, that I want to be involved. So I'm asking you to help create the spaces and opportunities as we go forward to allow that to happen more gracefully. So I think if you can kind of clear the air and pull your energy back, Crafty, it's going to help heal the situation. And don't take things personally as much, right? Understand that, and maybe, if you try to see things from your daughter-in-law's eyes, she may be feeling very threatened by the impact, by the role that you've played, and the importance that your opinion has played in your son's life and in their life. And, she's trying to create this, they're trying to create this on their own. And she's like, well, wait a minute, I'm your wife. We're creating our life together. Why is what your mom wants so important compared to what I want? Right. So she may be feeling threatened by you. So if you can forgive that potentially, insecurities that she has, and understand it's not a personal attack on you, she's just being defensive, it might be a little easier for you to take the high road and just give them a little bit more space. And you might find that it flows a little bit more gracefully going forward. Okay. All right. Hopefully that made some sense. All right. And then we have a question about, what is my take on dragons? Well, I think energetically, for sure, dragons are real. I think that they actually physically existed. I think most of the creatures that we read about in mythology was actually history at one point. All kinds of stuff is being found archaeologically that is kind of making us kind of rethink, like, oh, geez, I thought in the Old Testament when they talked about the Nephilim that are like 9 feet tall, like Goliath, right? The giants, that was hyperbole. And now they're finding skeletons of people that are 9 feet tall in caves. And you're like, okay. So maybe it wasn't hyperbole, and maybe it wasn't just mythology. Maybe there truly was this sort of being that existed. So when it comes to dragons, there are so many cultures that have that winged serpent theme in them, and they talk about dragons and the power of dragons. So I think that literally they probably existed at some point during evolution. And I think energetically, what dragons stand for as far as transformation, using the fire, and they also represent the Kundalini energy that comes up with us, up through our chakras to transform us from the base metal of the physicality to the gold enlightenment of spirituality. So I think metaphorically and energetically, dragons also exist. So, so to me, dragons are a big yes. And I loved Game of Thrones. I'm just saying, there's some really good movies and a series on HBO that shows some really kick butt dragons. There's also a new movie out, How to Train Your Dragon. Oh my God, how cute was that? So yeah, I'm a fan of dragons. I like them. I like what they stand for. And I do believe that a lot of the mythological creatures were there, especially if you look back at, if you're of the ancient alien, if you subscribe to some of the old ancient alien beliefs, that in some ways parts of humanity were the science projects of ancient aliens. And they talk about, even in the Bible, it says the sons of God mated with the daughters of man, right? And then all these beings started coming, and you read about certain beings like the centaurs that were half man, half horse, or all those kind of things that are in some of the old mythology. There's not a huge stress to say, well, look what we're doing with genetics now and with DNA now, that maybe those ancient aliens were like, oh, I wonder what'll happen if I cross this with this and this with this. So who knows what kind of creatures actually existed before the flood, right? Before they kind of did a reset and said, yeah, let's not do that again. Let's just have humanity and the animals that we know about. So that's what I think about that. Hope that made some sense. All right. Then let's see other questions here. Okay. Oh, and Nilta was just giving, she was giving us a confirmation that it made sense. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay. And then a question from Crafty is saying, this is a follow-up question. Would it help to confront her just so we kind of know what is behind this disrespect? Okay. So as a follow-up, what I want to say here is careful with our words, right? So confrontation is not the energy you want to have. So I wouldn't confront her. I would invite her to share her point of view, right? Just the word confront or confrontation has this, like, we have these two negative opposite sides that we're kind of in battle against, right? Now, one person's disrespect is another person's misunderstanding. So sometimes and I don't know if sometimes it can be different cultures. Sometimes it can be even just different ways that we're brought up. Like in my family, it wasn't disrespectful to share your opinion or to, jump in and share without being asked first. I was with a different family that's more Southern, and I was pulled off to the side, and they said, in our family, it's like we wait to be asked for our opinion. We don't just, jump in and share it. It's seen as disrespectful. And I was like, whoa, so sorry. I didn't know that was a thing here, right? It's a culture. I'm from New York, folks. We're direct. We talk fast, typically loud too, but we're very direct. And, you always know where we stand. We don't pussyfoot around. It's like, you ask me a straight question, you're going to get a straight answer, which is part of the reason the show is called Spiritual Straight Talk, or Street Talk, rather. It's like, I want to tell it straight. I don't want to just dance around it. Let's just tell it as it is. So Crafty, I would kind of rethink. I wouldn't invite her to get together with you until you've already healed your heart, until you have forgiven her. And until you look at it as, I want to sit down and share and kind of pick your brains on this a little bit and share, like, this is when you say this is how I feel, versus accusing her of being disrespectful. So you could say, honey, when you say or do this is how I feel. So don't label it as disrespect unless she's intentionally trying to be disrespectful. Coming from New York, I tell people, look, the F word is an adjective. You can have an effing beautiful day. Trust me, you will know if I'm trying to flip you off and insult you. You'll know. Same thing here. You'll know if she's honestly trying to be disrespectful. There's certain ways that people are. I don't think she's intentionally trying to do that. And I think that if you can come to the conversation with forgiveness, love, and true openness to learn and see it from her point of view, all for the sake of the son that you both love, and start from that common ground of, we both love my son and your husband. We both love this man. We want to make this be as peaceful and loving a family as possible. How do we get to that point? So approach it more from a problem-solving, creative, building bridges than holding her accountable for being, disrespectful as you're perceiving it. Okay. Try to have more love and grace as you bridge that conversation, and you'll find it'll be much, much better for you. Oh my God, there's our hour again, folks. Holy moly. Okay. Quick question for Nilda. She was just asking, thinking of moving, where do you feel is a good place for you to go? I'm feeling that it's someplace warm with mountains and a change of season. That's just a quickie. But again, it's free will, free choice. Use your own intuition. Get out a map. You can use your pendulum. You can dowse. You can just say, okay, spirit, shuffle pieces of paper. Write the name of 5 or 6 states or 5 or 6 cities on pieces of paper. Shuffle them up without saying, and say, okay, spirit, bring me to the one that's my highest good, and pick. And voila, you'll get your message from spirit. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining in on the conversation today. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I know how precious time is. Please remember, y'all, to go on out there and please do shine your light, share your love. Be kind to one another. Be unconditionally forgiving and loving with yourself and others. And do your best to become the best possible you that you can be out there. Have a positive impact. God bless you all. Hope to see you again next week. Have a wonderful week, y'all. Thanks again for joining me. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that good social media stuff to keep Grizz happy. All right. Take care, y'all. Bye now. All right. And I just have to find the little outtake thingy and we'll be all set. Okay. Bye now. Love you.